And we're away in racing. Who gets the jump? The 68 machine. Naven, he gets the jump into turn 1. Here comes Woodhouse in the 71 car. Just uses a wee bit of the concrete, backs out and corrects himself as they go down the back straight for the first time. Then the 8 car comes through of McQuillan. They're all bunching up. 72, Shelton, he's a wee bit sideways. Petrie's up the inside of him. Here comes the 11C car of Brett McGlashan as they rack off the first lane. Very rare you see Peter Skelton dropping cars like that. He must be trying something. And behind him, Danny Knight. Then we go back to Rob Flood. Then we go back to Scott Woodhouse, Aaron Andrews. Who's going round there? Oh, that's Skelton in the 72 car as they all check up to avoid him. But back up the front, the 68. He's got... Woodhouse is trying the crisscross. He's going to try and get up that inside line. No, he buttons out of it again. 68 still holding us at this stage. McQuillan's now hard on the heels of Woodhouse in the 71 as they go through 3 and 4. Not much between these guys. We go back behind Naven. There's a right roll scrap on here. 8 McQuillan. Oh, Petrie just gives Woodhouse one up the tube as he was checking up. McGlashan, he's come up the inside of Petrie. Petrie's gone high. Peter Skelton in the 72 soon squares him up. Danny Knight's picked up a couple of spots out of that, as is Scott Woodhouse. Then we go back to Aaron Andrews, Flood, Billy Lee Woodhouse. Then we go back to Dougal McClymont. You can throw a blanket over the field from start to finish at this stage. There's only a straight from first to last. Oh, Naven's gone in too hard. He's cooked it. Oh, everybody's checking up to avoid him. Who's going to come out? 72. Peter Skelton, he's going to pick up this one. Naven rejoins us. Bit of rubbing on the inside of Danny Knight. So we go, Skelton in the 72, Woodhouse 71, McQuillan in the 8 car. Then we go back to Danny Knight in the 5. Our race previous leader, Naven, is thereabouts. Then they've got Rob Flood, Scott Woodhouse, McGlashan, Billy Lee Woodhouse. Oh, Petrie's just had nowhere to go and just roared straight into the 25 car of Ben Lodge. That will bring out the yellow.
Well, there is some terrible driving out there at times, and I know there's some great driving for avoidance, but the lines, the chopping, the changing, I think Skouten's probably just glad to get brake free, get to that front, because his brakes will be melting out before the accelerator.
I don't know what they've done, whether they're playing with different setups, because I'm pretty sure he's away to the New Zealand title. They'll be playing with different setups for where they're going to for their New Zealand title. I think it's Miani.
Yes, it is.
Mate, how often do we see him drive like that?
Well, he was quite open on his Facebook page that he is actually trying stuff, but most of these cars, none of them have picked that it plateaus out at the top of 3 and 4. And you could see them going in the corners. Woodhouse was guilty of it. You work your way through the field. There's a whole heap of them. They go in the corner. You just see the back wheels roll over that top edge of the lip, and all of a sudden the front wheels pick up, and there's nothing.
So we'll have a quick look at the lap times. They're all sitting. The quickest lap is at 18.1 by Danny Knight, and then we go 18.27 and an 18.27 McQuillan and Peter Skelton. So, and then the rest of them are all around that 18.4s, 18.5s. So they're all there. Danny Knight seems to be the fastest on the track, who's currently sitting in about that 4th, 5th spot. They're just checking to work out where they're going to be.
Yeah, there's a little bit of Days of Thunder stuff going on there. You just drive to where you want to be and hope like heck no one else is going to cross your path when you're there. But just there was a whole bunch of checking up in those front half dozen cars at times there, and it was guys just racing at the end of their bonnets. They weren't racing at the end of the straight. It was an interesting scenario.
But there's some pretty cool trophies up for grabs.
Is there a ranch that comes with the first one?
Oh, I don't know, but I had a look at them in the club rooms earlier on, and Moller and Young have done another stellar job on our trophies. So as we tidy up the 44 car and the 25 car.
Yeah, Craig Petrie there, nowhere to go. He'd committed the thing, he gassed it up, and the next thing you know, he's got Ben Lodge sideways in front of him. He's tried to scrub off some speed, but not without taking his nose off.
No, exactly. So as we look, the 72 leads us.
We must be sure to push vehicles because we're hand pushing the 25 car into the infield.
So it's interesting to see where McQuillan, he's on our ELS, it says he's sitting in 5th, so listen. As he's just pulling over to let the rest of them go past, and he'll slot in behind Danny Knight in the 5 car.
Yeah, well, Danny Knight did that.
No, he's just going to sit parked up.
I'd say he's not wearing a headset.
Yep.
Had a guess. Danny Knight did that the Speed Week with the Holden Trade Club Speed Week, and that you can see how his driving's improved, racing with fast cars every night.
Oh, exactly. So now that mess is cleaned up, hopefully we'll get Corey McQuillan into his right position. They're just waiting for them to come through now.
And Ben Lodge's car looks like it's held up pretty well for what it's been through.
Yeah, and to be fair, Craig Petrie's won't be a great deal. It looks like a lot, but it might be a top and bottom arm or a bit of a front bar on those things.
You're hoping it's just bolts that have sheared and arms that have bent.
So we'll go green this time round. They're all back in position. 44, 25, 25 and 57 parked on the infield at this stage. 5 laps down. And we're still flashing yellow, so unfortunately we're not going to get a green this time round.
Seagull spooked them.
Yeah.
Willie Woodhouse is obviously prepared to go. He's right up the tube of the 72.
Yeah, well, both those cars are fast, so you want to sit right behind him so you can follow him, or at least get the jump if it pushes out again and does something a wee bit erratic. Naven sitting in the 3rd spot. Danny Knight, McQuillan, Flood. We go back to Woodhouse, McGlashan, Woodhouse. As they come around.
It's when you get that long train and the last car ploughs into the back. And look at the pace that Woodhouse is keeping them.
And they're away. So they resume. See how they pair coming out of turn 1. Woodhouse is shooting up the inside. They're neck and neck. Skelton pulls away from him as they go down into turn 3 and 4. Here comes Flood right round the outside. He's gone past McQuillan. He's round the outside of Knight. So Woodhouse has taken over the lead from Peter Skelton. Looks like to be something wrong in the left front of the 71. It's handling like a pig, but he's still hard up it.
He's got the broke in the shop by the look of it there, Ivan, and it's just sitting right on the ground.
So this will play into someone like Rob Flood, who's using it. Oh no, he's going to pull off. So Shelton will take over the lead again. Then we go back to Naven, Danny Knight, Rob Flood in the 791 car. He's going around the outside. He's going to see if there's anything up there. As they go down the back straight, Knight pulls away from him. Here comes Flood. He's still on that high line. As they go into 3 and 4, Knight checks up a wee bit and pushes Flood a wee bit wide. 72, 68, 5, 791. That's your top 5. Top 4. Then we go back to McQuillan in the 5th spot. Woodhouse, Scott, McGlashan, Billy Lee Woodhouse, Dougal McClymont. Then we go back to Brian Maxwell in the 78. Back up the front we go. White flag this time round. Peter Skelton's about half a dozen over Naven. Then Danny Knight still holding on to that 3rd. Rob Flood still on that high line. Let's see what he can do in this last half a lap. He'll go in hard into turn 3 and 4. As he does, he's sitting up high. Naven and Knight are down low. Comes down past us. Naven's going to hold on a second. And, geez, she was a bumper's whisker. And
A grades, technically, although I'm not sure if the A grade's back out again. Is he, Craig
Petrie, 44? No,
seems to be
can't
missing.
see him. So, off the front row, we've got the retro cool 10C, Dougal McClymont. Scott Woodhouse in the 7C car. Then we go back to Aaron Andrews in the Otago Medals, 57D. On the outside of Aaron Andrews, we have a visitor from Blenheim, 791, Rob Flood. In behind them, we have another retro, and that'll be the 67, which is Brian Maxwell on the outside. Billy Lee Woodhouse.
Very cool looking car, that 67.
They are, aren't they? Some of these guys that have gone outside the square, back to the old style. Oh dear. Then we go Mike Verdona. Good to see that he's got his gremlins out of the way. We'll go green this time round. The lights are out. Willie Woodhouse on the outside of Verdona. We go back to McQuillan in the 8. We're about to go green. We're racing. 10C, Dougal McClymont. He gets the jump in the Falcon as they go into turn 1 and 2. On the outside of him, Flood, 791. We all get through the first corner nicely. Down the back straight. Woodhouse, he's coming around the outside as McQuillan. Oh, the 67's just got out of shape. Aaron Andrews was lucky to avoid that. We'll go yellow. Danny Knight and Peter Skelton have...
Yeah, that was a bit unfortunate there. Chain reaction of events as the 67 car got a bit taily and then got sideways onto the other cars who scrambled to avoid. 5 was in turn got sideways trying to avoid the contact, and 72 just tagged the back of the 5 car.
like for our listeners, they were just going into turn 3, which you'd normally be turning left, but the 67 just did a right-hand turn.
The back of the car just seemed to...
Just stepped out.
Stepped out on it, didn't it? Yep. Rob Flood, a great start there. He was almost tempted, I think, to go 3 wide coming into turn 1 off the start and backed out of it, thought better of it, but made the pass further around the lap, and he's got some good pace in that 791 car.
And he's an ex-New Zealand champion as well. He won the New Zealand Saloon title. He's not scared to use that high line. It's a love-lady car.
Just looking at Danny Knight's car in front of us, they're checking the front end of it, but it's actually the right rear that's collapsed.
Yeah, I think it is too.
They'll give him the thumbs up, and I'll be more concerned about the air. No, he's going to pull in by the look of it. So it looks like we'll regrid. We haven't completed a lap, so it should be regrid. Lucky Aaron Andrews, who just got clobbered in the front there. No damage to that car, so he should be back up in front of Verdona beside Flood. As he's just coming up into position now.
It'll be interesting to see if Flood can get the same pace off the second start as he did the first time round.
Well, there was still a wee bit of water on the track, wasn't there, from the first time, and McClymont got a bit of the jump, and he got away. So, as you say, Rob Flood, he will go to the high side.
And no one at the back of the field been put to the back of the field yet. You kind of get the feeling that the 67 car should be there, given he would have been the cause of that incident.
Yeah, but they are going for a complete rerun, aren't they?
By the look at it, the way they've regridded up again. So the lights are out. Brian has the green in the air. They come out of Enviro Waste. We're racing. Scott Woodhouse gets the jump this time in the 7 car over McClymont. Aaron Andrews is in behind him. Here goes Flood. He's up on that high line. Round the outside of Andrews. Andrews shoots up the inside of him again as they go down the back straight. Flood's got a bit more. As they go into turn 3 and 4, McClymont and the Falcons out in front at this stage. He's up on the high side. Scott Woodhouse is up the inside of McClymont as they go into 1 and 2. Who's going to be the bravest? McClymont comes back down. He's got it at this stage. Over Scott Woodhouse in the 7 car. Here comes Aaron Andrews up the inside of Flood, who's sitting out on that high line. Mike Verdona in the 25T car sitting there. Willie Woodhouse, he's up high in the 71. Billy Lee, she's down low. As the rest of the field come through, we've got McGlashan in the 11. Then we go McQuillan in the 8. Back to 72, Peter Skelton. Back up the front. Dougal McClymont on the 10. He's pulled about 2 or 3 over the 7 of Scott Woodhouse. Flood's up high still. Aaron Andrews in the 57D car. Then we go back to Verdona in the 25T. Billy Lee Woodhouse is in behind them. Then McGlashan, Skelton. Then the 71. Dougal McClymont's overcooked it and he's spun himself off. So he's given up the lead. Flood, he's up on that high line. Scott Woodhouse, he's sitting down on the low. Comes out in front of Flood. Flood will stay up high as they go into 1 and 2. The track's slickened off a bit. Who's got the better drive out of 1 and 2? Flood looks like it. Woodhouse is down low. Flood's got more as he comes out of 2. Verdona's seen that. He's gone up high as well. Aaron Andrews has followed him. So as they go through 3 and 4, Flood, 791, visitor from Blenheim. He's taken the lead. Scott Woodhouse is still holding on to that second down low. Verdona's sitting in behind him in the 25T car. He's about to put some pressure on the 7C. Here he goes, round the outside as they go into 3. There's a bit of a rupt performing in there. It's a bit wet, so as they all scatter.
Gone yellow.
I'm picking that for a bit of debris just up by where McClymont, the 67 car's just run it over.
Interesting as you go into turn 3 down there, the entry to Enviro Waste. Down low's fine, up high is fine. There's a rut right in the middle, and you see that Brian Maxwell particularly got really unsettled there in one point. But if you go through that rut and if you go through it sideways, the whole car just bellies the chassis onto the track.
Yeah, it was a shame that Dougal overcooked it going into turn 1 and 2 because he was
going
stringing
well
some really good laps and the car's got some good pace.
Well, it's a great chassis underneath. It's a early Hypermac, and of course with the Super Saloons traditionally have that quite a wide stance, and given that if you look at the bonnet on that 10C car, it is massive. So it's afforded them the luxury of keeping it in the Super Saloon stance.
So as the push vehicles come off the track, hopefully the lights are out. Yes, they are. We'll go green this time round. Our leader, Rob Flood from Blenheim in the 791. As they all go through the dip. As we're about to go green and racing. Slow pedestrian start. 1/2 out of line, but we got a green anyway. So our leader, as they go 1 and 2, Flood still leads us over Scott Woodhouse. Mike Verdona's having a look up the inside in the 25T car. Here comes Peter Skelton. He's going to go around the high side of Aaron Andrews in the 57D car. Billy Lee Woodhouse sits in behind them. And we go back to McGlashan. Willie Woodhouse. But at the front, she's a four-way battle for second, third, fourth. Verdona, he's gone high side. He's going to try and get round the outside of the 7 car. Aaron Andrews, he's shot up the inside. He's right in behind Scott Woodhouse. He's pulled a couple of lengths on them at this stage. Our leader at the moment, Rob Flood, he's opened up half a dozen. Verdona's trying to get back up the inside. Skelton's still on the outside. Scott Woodhouse is getting pressure inside, outside. He doesn't know what way to check it. Here comes Skelton, he's on the outside. Verdona's staying on the inside. Scott Woodhouse is trying to make that Corvette as wide as he can as they go into turn 1 and 2. Skelton, he's trying as he goes round the outside. Has he got the speed? He comes off the corner, drags straight down the back straight. Peter Skelton's got him at this stage as they go into 3 and 4. Woodhouse, he's just overcooked it and turned himself round. Aaron Andrews gets tagged again. Dougal McClymont spins himself up about 6 cars back to avoid it. But our leader at the moment, who's got the white flag, so we'll go back a lap.
Well, that's a bit of a shame for Peter Skelton, who patiently managed to work his way past those cars that were in front of him there. Mike Verdona initially on the outside line, holding him up just a fraction, I felt, and then Verdona went to the inside to try and make the pass on the 7 car, and that opened the gate for the 72 of Skelton to run that outside line for a couple of laps brilliantly.
Okay, so our race winner, they've called that under the yellow. 791 will be Rob Flood, and I'm picking Scott Woodhouse. He would have, on the ELS says he was second, but we'll have to see what the officials are. I won't comment, but hey, some good driving there. The race for, as I say, the after second, third, fourth. Who's going to get the jump? Verdona up the inside of Knight. Knight comes back to him as they go into 1 and 2. Knight's gone that high line. 72, Peter Skelton's following him. Verdona's got it at this stage. He just puts the foot down and he's off. The 25T car lifts up. Here comes Peter Skelton. He's going to shoot up the inside of the 5 of Danny Knight, who's taken the high line. In behind those guys, Rob Flood's come into the mix. Knight's gone round the outside of the 72. Flood's in behind the 72. Billy Lee Woodhouse in the 117's thereabouts. Then we go back to the 67 of name McGlashan's in there in the 11. Here comes Aaron Andrews in the 57D car. Back up the front. Bit of an interesting battle for second and third. The 72 car shoots back up the inside of Danny Knight in the 5 car. As Rob Flood's just sitting there looking at it. 72 is all over the back of 25T Verdona. He gets away from him down the back straight. Danny Knight's thereabouts. Then we go back to Rob Flood in the 791. Billy Lee Woodhouse has just got a nice comfortable gap there. She's doing well on this one. McGlashan in 11's about a couple of car lengths behind her. Then the rest of the field, we've got the 67, 68, McClymont. Then we've got Scott Woodhouse. Aaron Andrews has dropped to the rear of the field. Back up the front. The gap's opened up on the 25 to the 72. Here comes Rob Flood, trying that high line. Just balks a wee bit. Danny Knight pulls away from him. Flood's lost about 2 or 3 car lengths as they go into turn 1 and 2. Verdona's got this at this stage. He's got about 3 car lengths over Skelton in the 72. He's got about the same over the 5 of Danny Knight. Then we go back to Rob Flood, who's just taken the low line this time round. Billy Lee Woodhouse is there in the mix also. She's coming under a bit of pressure from the 11C of McGlashan. But up the front, Skelton's caught up a wee bit on the 25T car as they go into Enviro Waste. Skelton just gives him one in the rear to let him know he's there. Verdona puts the pedal down. The rear end of that car lifts up. Skelton's gone to the high line. Verdona's driving defensive down on the slick. Skelton's up high. Has he got the slingshot off the corner? Drag straight. Skelton's going on that high. Verdona's down low as they go through Enviro Waste. Verdona's going to come out of it better, I'd say. He's still leading. Danny Knight's about 2 or 3 back in that 3rd spot. Then we go back to 791, Rob Flood. Skelton's not giving up. He's still up on that high side. He's around the outside of the 25T car as they go down the back straight. Skelton's a wee bit in front. Verdona tries to outbrake him. Skelton's going through the rough stuff. Verdona will get back up the inside. As he does, they'll go into 1 and 2. Here comes Skelton. He likes the high line on 1 and 2. Who's going to take it down the back straight? 72, 25T. Skelton, he's away. He's pulled past Verdona. Now he's chopped back down. He's drifted up high. Verdona's going to get it back up the inside of him. Danny Knight's just sitting there. White flag this time round. She's a 4-car race. We've got Flood, Knight, Verdona, Skelton. Skelton's got it at this stage. He's got half a car length over the 25T car. He's up on the high line. Danny Knight sniffing there or thereabouts. Here we go. Into Enviro Race. Last corner. Here comes Verdona in the 25T car. 72 Skelton drifts up high. Drag straight. And we're going to have Skelton, Verdona, Knight, Rob Flood.
Absolute blinder of a finish there. Hit to 0.07 of a second finish there for Verdona and Skelton. And a beautiful clean racing. I'd have to say I would have thought Skelton was going to drop down low and get defensive, but he didn't. He stayed up high, gave Mike his